Namaste, ladies and gentlemen. This is our evening webisode or episode of the show that used to be called Something with Cyrus, which now is Cock and Bull. But it's the evening episode because there's a morning episode as well. Of course, it's a morning episode for Amit Doshi, who joins us from his new home. He's had enough of the three lockdowns of Mumbai. Can't trust anyone anymore. So he's staying in America until Uddhav Thackeray signs on a note saying, I will not bother you. You can have a beer at 10:30 and walk home with five friends and no one will bother you. So this is Amit's story. I'll come to that in a second. In the meantime, I have solved one of the greatest problems in the history of humanity. And that is, as you age, I'm turning another decade apparently in a few hours. As you age, the one thing you want is less people around you. That's clear in all cultures across the world. How do you do that? Well, I've got it. I've got it, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry. I have got the solution. It's very simple. What we should come up with is a social hour. That is 23 hours of the day. Nobody bothers anybody else. And only for 1 hour, only for 1 hour. Mr. Thackeray, Mr. Modi, please listen to this idea. Mr. Biden, listen to my idea. For 1 hour and 1 hour only can you guys go on your little phones and your little computers and have your social activity across the internet saying hi, who, Twitter, philosophy, Insta, only for 1 hour. And I give that hour as 6 to 7 in the evening. So people don't bother themselves with our show and they get something to do. And for the rest of the day, we're fine. I could hear an echo too. Wow.
Yeah,
I think Naveen's got echo coming through.
I think
He
Naveen just
muted
figured
and
I
it
went
out.
love
away.
that.
Yeah.
I felt like
Yeah.
Moses. Please don't send letters with respect, I'm saying. I felt, this prophetic voice, because I think
Yeah.
echo is very good. MPs should think about it when they do speeches. If you have reverb and you say
Yeah.
Vikas, 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 Vikas,
Yeah. It sounds like
no, John,
Akashwani.
no, John, no, John, no, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really emphatic? I don't know.
You have
It's my
always
idea.
had a fascination with reverb
I
since you
love
first figured
reverb.
out that you
Can I
were
tell
going to
you?
be doing a
Can I tell you my
podcast.
story? May I please
Yes,
tell my story quickly?
please.
And then I won't talk for the rest of the show. I was doing a play called Godspell, 89, 90. I was a teenager, those days. And there was a lovely lady called Nirmala Mathan who used to be a newscaster as well as a singer in plays and stuff with a lovely voice. So they were doing a tech check, and Rustam Pavri, God bless his soul, he's not with us anymore, was the sound guy from Beach Candy, Rustam Pavri. And she complained about the performance and said, "I don't like this. Can I have some reverb? Introduce some reverb into the thing." So he called me, and in Gujarati he started telling me, "Aijo, look at this." And I said, "Okay." So I thought he was going to do some mastery on that keyboard. We used to use his old keyboards and sound at the back. And then he tells Dinaba, "We're ready. Start." She sang the song. He did nothing. He just hit the wood three times with his knuckles. She sang the song, finished, and said, "Did you see the difference, Rustam? Did you see the difference?" And he said, "Yes, yes, you're absolutely right." And so after that, I've become a big reverb fan because I know lots of performers actually just say all these things, don't know exactly what's going on. Lovely lady, Nirmala Mathan, but that's my gift to you, Naveen. You can use that in your stand-up. It's a huge hit in the eastern states of India.
No, but so
Big, big.
that's how this is how we should act when you ask us for reverb. I mean, like we should treat it like this only. I mean, like in the
But I won't
same
ask
with the
you.
same. You've
I have to
asked
have
many, dude. Since
no,
6 years, I have heard the word reverb from you so many times. It's not even funny.
no, I call it the Ordnab effect. I'm saying you use reverb. Reverb is a symbolic word for everything, where you basically drown the other people with technology. So you ask the question, and before you guys can answer, the reverb says the question three more times, and the echo plays
Yeah.
out, and the emphasis of the volume going left, right, instead of chorus is introduced. Naveen, by the way, is on mute. Huh? He's not only not participating, he's now gone silent completely.
No,
Ah,
Rishi muted me, I think. I was quietly just
Uh,
doing my
Ladies and
thing.
gentlemen, we have an engineer called Rishi. One day we'll show you who he is. What is wrong with Rishi? You call the guest on, we start the show and you mute him. I mean, what is
No,
this?
no. I think there was
This
an echo in Rishi's
I don't
defense.
think
There
the
was an
Home
echo
Minister
on
would do
Naveen's
this
side.
to
I think
Rahul
that's why.
Gandhi.
Is the
I've
echo
never.
gone
This is
now?
unparalleled, unbelievable. We
Yeah, yeah,
apologize.
yeah.
yeah,
Fine
it
now?
seems
No,
it seems like it's gone now. Yes.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Technology
No, all
evades
good.
me.
Yeah.
Am I the only one who
All good,
drinks a
man.
lot of coffee? It's
Uh,
it's like three of you have just escaped Corona, now in recovery mode. Um,
Oh
it's
wow,
7 o'clock in the
Amit,
morning.
that's
how's the United States of America? You guys just won a wrestling gold against a run of play. This guy called something William the Third. Don't ask me names. Names are tough. He beat this Irani
I
sensation. Don't ask me names. Names are tough.
Okay. I fell
Yeah.
asleep before any of the Olympics happened last night.
Ooh, not your cup of sake.
No,
Sake.
I
Get
mean
it?
I watched a bit. I watched like the India. I watched the first half of like both the India semifinals,
Did you
which
see
they
the
lost.
girls? I
Also,
cried.
yeah, I know, sad.
Unbelievable. What
Yeah.
lovely stories they are. They're
Mhm.
all from, I don't want to sound impoverished backgrounds. Is it fair to say? They all are.
Oh,
And
dude,
some
did
of
you
them are from
see
tribal
this?
belts. I mean, the stories are fabulous.
So there was a story that I read about that, and I was just like astounded. Apparently, one of the women on the team, her family at their village was taunted by upper caste, like people of the village, saying that, oh, Dalits should not be in the Olympics. This is what happens. I'm just like, what the hell is wrong with people?
Yeah,
I don't understand this
I mean,
nonsense.
and that is after the success,
Yeah.
somewhat success. And the sad part is
It
that
is a success. They're in the Olympics. They got to the semifinal. I mean, like, I'm sorry, but it's not like the other teams are not, the other countries are not trying to win. It's ridiculous to. It is a success by
this
any
team is going to
standards.
do, Amit, this
Yeah.
team will do well. They're young
Yeah.
girls. They're good. Okay, they were outplayed by Argentina. We'll take it on the chin. But this is a good team, and they're going to bring some laurels to the country. And the stories are so romantic in the sense of, the romance of sport, coming, a little bit like, some of the African American stories in boxing, where you come from nowhere and
Hmm.
you can, reach the top of something. And I mean, from tribal Naxal areas and all, father who's a drunkard, you talked about village panchayats being against them and, the caste issues and all that, dealing with everything, no money, selling shoes to buy a,
Yep.
you sell shoes. It's like an O. Henry story. Sell
Hmm.
shoes to buy a hockey stick for your child. I mean, I was crying. I was so moved. I was screaming. My mother was shaking. We were all, I mean, we all, the Mobile sporting Olympians. But having said that, I mean, I really wanted them to win. I said, forget cricket, just let these girls win. Forget about what's happening in Nottingham Test match. But yeah, unfortunately, but
What
really
is happening
very
in
inspiring.
Nottingham?
I wish they push these girls more. They're really inspiring stories for people to take up sport. And you see the character on their faces,
Mhm.
and they cried, some of them, and they were so disconsolate after. Honestly, I was actually drained. I was so invested in the game, and I was invested because of them. It was not about the country, it was
Mhm.
about them. It
Yep.
goes beyond the country, their story. But anyway, enough of this. People start crying and saying, what's wrong with the podcast? You started with all that rubbish, and now you got emotional, and it's like King Lear, the ending. And which daughter loves you? Okay, you guys don't follow King Lear, but anyway. Amit, what's up?
Yes. What's
How's
up?
America?
America's fine. I mean, like, it's been. I'm in Nashville now at the Podcast Movement
You're in
Conference.
the country capital of the world.
I am in the country music capital
I
of the
love
world.
country music.
Really?
What are you saying?
Interesting.
Love. Huh.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah. And
thinking
don't start
tonight.
about giving me a racist lecture. I don't want to hear it. Huh.
No, not
Huh.
racist.
Huh.
I was thinking of going to, like, so there's a street called Broad Street. So I was thinking of going there tonight with some
I
people.
just saw the show.
Oh,
I
really?
loved it.
There's a show called Broad Street. I didn't
Yes,
know
Martin
this.
Scorsese. Oh, it's
What?
Broadwalk. Straight walk. Big deal.
That's
Huh.
Boardwalk Empire. That's
Okay, stop it. Don't show off.
and they're talking about
All right, I know
Atlantic
you know every
City.
episode.
No, no. This is so Broad Street
there's
is like
Broad
this.
City, which is like a two-woman show.
Okay, okay.
Bro,
Stop
you
it.
confuse all your shows in one go and you make something. Yeah, I love
And
it.
who's
It's
going to teach me about broads?
amazing.
That young man over there. Yeah. Finish your
Broad is
point,
also a
bro.
size, by the way. So
And also cricketer. Two actually. BC played for England before him.
see, you have to
There
be
you go.
sports into. I was just participating, just started conversating, and like
Yeah.
he hears.
And I
He's the
almost
most
lured
sports
you in.
trivia.
I saw you were lured in by my story of these lovely girls and their fight against the system, etc. Which is not about sport but about humanity. And you got
Yeah,
lured in. Then I mentioned cricket, and you go lured out because I think that's like pure
but
racism. So don't
also
mention
I
cricket.
think we
No,
also
no
have
time
to
for that.
acknowledge like Odisha government and their contribution to hockey in general have been massive. Like while people generally scoff at hockey and the state of hockey as we know, it's like very much what we see in the movie Chak De. It's like the reality is pretty much that. But the fact that these like especially Navin Patnaik was like really on board with like helping both the women as well as the men's hockey team, sponsoring them. That's like something that's commendable
Now that you bring
because
it,
yeah,
geographical touch to it, do you know that the talent that we are unearthing now from the east, and by east I mean Jharkhand, Bihar, Odisha, as you just mentioned, and of course the northeast,
yeah,
all these jewels from there in sport
absolutely.
and women in
Hmm.
sport. That's the future of this country. You see,
Correct.
and you see
Yeah,
the
yeah,
statistics of the Olympics will bear me out on it. And even in rugby, the boys were telling me they went and saw the talent in the tribal areas. It's amazing, and they are so wonderful and beautiful. And when I say beautiful, I don't mean like whether they're good looking or not. Beautiful and beautiful souls, untouched, innocent, pure sort of people. They all came back moved, and to have that experience, you have to go outside these bloody 8 cities of India where we live. Which obviously now is
Eight.
corrupted beyond repair. There used to be four metros and five metros, and I lost count, bro. Everybody's
I
got a
feel like
metro now, man.
I feel like there are only three now. I feel like all the others have been demoted.
No, no, no. What do you think?
Yeah.
Hyderabad looks. I go to Hyderabad. No, I
Yeah.
just came back from Calcutta
Oh yeah, that's right.
against. Yeah. So I'm sorry. Mumbai needs to buck up. Mumbai has to buck up. Honestly,
Yeah.
all of them are going forward. Okay, let's not
Hey,
bitch
we
Bombay
have the
out anymore.
spirit of Mumbai, man. Nobody
Yeah,
else
we have
has
the
that.
spirit of Mumbai. We have the
Yeah.
Nobody
bloody.
else has that.
We
So many
can't be
spirits.
defeated.
Yeah.
We'll be back on our feet. काम करेंगे हम लोग. Hold hands.
We are
Kumbaya,
we
my
are we
lord.
are Bollywood.
Kumbaya.
We are Bollywood.
We have Bollywood. Yeah,
Yes.
Mm.
Yep.
yeah.
Correct.
But you
Financial
know
Tiger,
what?
center. Financial
Have you
Tiger
guys
King,
center.
like
Tiger King will
noticed
save
though?
us.
There's a proper disenchantment with Bollywood and Hollywood in general happening in the world right now. But have you noticed that? Like after
You
the
think?
whole SSR controversy, yeah, like right now, like nobody gives a shit as much as like everybody used to be like, oh, I'm going to go to Bombay and become a star. That
Oh,
whole,
that way.
I think the system is kind of like whatever, like what is there right now,
Nobody
right?
wants to come to Bombay because we shut at 4 p.m. No, you can't be a star in just 3
Yeah,
hours. You need a little more
Yeah.
time.
yeah.
You
No, I
understand?
No,
That's
also
why
think
Daddy
even
said, "बकवास, चूतिया, वापस आ." 4 बजे बंद हो जाता है वहाँ पे. Cancel plans.
Naveen, I'd also say that, like, the fact that movie theaters are not open, right, has a kind of
yeah,
Exactly.
piece on that too, right? I think that
We-
that's an event, right? That's the thing that people kind of
Exactly.
get this on, and right now we're
Because
not
look at
doing
single
that.
screen, Amit. They've killed single screen. That's a
Yeah,
whole event of a whole type. Okay, there's a type of
yeah,
people, but there's a whole group. What
yeah.
is the right politically correct way to put this? You've just killed that whole
sect,
thing.
Hmm. Yeah,
yeah,
I agree. No, single screen. I mean, like the death. Well, so here's the thing, right? The death of single screen cinemas was pretty much inevitable, given the economics of how
But
movies
it
work and
galloped
real
along a little
estate works.
faster, didn't it?
Sorry.
It galloped along a little faster.
Well, yeah,
It
but I
was
mean,
in the fullness of time. Yeah, radio kills the TV star, TV kills the radio star, whatever the hell it
yeah.
is. I understand,
video
but I'm
kills the
saying,
radio star.
uh,
yeah, but this happened in 2 months, in two
Yeah,
three months of the first
What?
lockdown.
Sorry.
There's no screens. How do the guys operate? They're hand to mouth. In any case, they're fighting a
Yeah.
system which they're too old for.
So
You
the
know,
the other problem is when it comes to movie exhibition stuff, right? I mean, like one of the biggest issues is the tax regime around it. The tax
yeah,
regime is so ridiculous. It's so insane. We pay like and yeah, it's just going to be it was inevitable that, but also Cyrus, given the cost of real estate, right? Single screens don't make sense. They're just impossible to make sense. They just cannot work, right? Because unless you get Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge or a Sholay or like a movie like that
yeah.
Did you guys
popular, doesn't work.
did you guys hear about Scarlett Johansson suing Disney
Yes,
over
I
yes,
did.
this
and the
kind of
fact that
stuff?
none of our co-stars have said anything about it, which means they're
No,
all on our side in a
no, no.
sense.
I mean,
Everybody is. This is
yeah.
the sorry, Antariksh, go ahead.
No, I'm saying I what I heard is Chris Evans talked to her in private. This is what
Yeah.
the rumor mill says,
No, no one, yeah,
and
no
he
one said
was
anything publicly.
yeah. No one will say anything publicly.
Nobody
Everyone
takes
wants
on
to keep
Disney
working
No,
with Disney.
forever,
Yeah,
huh?
no, but she,
at,
but
at least the
she's
big stars and all. Yeah, they won't say
she's
anything.
entirely right. She is 101% right. I mean, like if you
Yeah,
look at the way that who's the guy who plays Jack Ryan, the guy from The Office? He had a movie.
Tom
Uh-huh.
John
Uh,
Krasinski,
John Krasinski,
John
right?
John
He
Krasinski,
Krasinski,
and
yeah.
his wife, who is a bigger star than him, whose name I can't remember either,
Emily
Emily
Blunt.
Blunt
Emily Blunt, correct. They had a movie that came out recently, A Quiet Place 2.
too. Yeah.
Yeah,
That movie basically they forced the what do you call it? They forced the studios to release in theaters. It was not supposed to release in theaters, but they forced them to release in theaters because that's the way these people design their contracts. Like from what I understand, right? These guys had no interest in doing this movie, A Quiet Place 2. Like both of them, they're
yeah,
like, yeah, we did one, we don't want to do another one, right?
yeah,
But the
yeah.
studio really, it was a big hit. Studio really, really pushed. So they're like, okay, you want us to do it? Then we'll take a big chunk off the gross, right? Not the net, not the. We'll
Yep.
take a big chunk of this. You basically take that off and you push it straight to streaming. Of course, these people are going to be pissed off.
Yeah, the gross will go
Yep.
away. Plus, like the good thing is like John Krasinski made it a point to show that because the movie's whole ambience is like it's all quiet, it's
Mhm.
horror. He wanted it, and he in American theaters you got to see him come before the movie and be like, we wanted to do this like this only.
Mhm.
But with Scarlett Johansson, they did the same thing where basically RDJ had the same deal, Robert Downey Jr. After the first Iron Man, he started taking chunks from the movie profits. That's how he's now become
Hmm.
a billionaire because of
Right.
the movie profiting. So she
Yeah.
tried something similar with Black Widow because she was getting like anyway, she was getting the fag end of the deal because she's already died in the universe.
Mhm.
So now she's just
Yeah.
getting a
True.
movie for the sake of it. and even there she's like losing money,
No, no.
and
But
But
do they?
knowing
Does she get
how
paid?
the
She got
knowing
paid
where the
as well, right? Before you take a chunk of the profits,
Well, no,
there's
you
a
get
payment.
paid, but you when you negotiate a deal, right, Cyrus? If you negotiate a deal which has two components to it, one is a variable component, one is a fixed component. The two are
Correct.
related, right? You will take a
yeah.
lower fixed component for a higher variable component, or vice versa.
100%.
Yeah,
But having said that, yeah, okay. So then she's in the right.
she's
I
in
don't
the
see the
right.
problem.
Yeah, she's
Just
absolutely
so
in the right.
also another thing was that I think so. Even if you have Disney Plus, new releases, what my understanding is, new release you have to still buy. It's like a ticketed thing, right? Is that right?
It is, but what happens is that
So they could have given her a cut from each individual sale also, but they didn't choose to do that. Is what
no,
my
but
understanding is.
no, even if they did, and I'm not 100% sure that they didn't, but the
Okay,
thing is that when you release a movie in a theater, it's an event, it's a
that's
worldwide
true.
event,
That's
right?
true.
Whereas if something is coming on Disney Plus, it's like,
I
ah, I'll
have to
watch
take
it
a
tomorrow, I'll
I
watch
have
it
to do a
next
live
week.
Hmm.
event here for a
Hmm.
second. Just tell Maya to take the dog. He's stopping my show by barking. And please carry on, guys. I mean, I'm trying to send them messages, but nobody's responding. I mean, it's worse than
uh,
a Marvel situation. I felt exactly like the Black Widow.
No, but now
Uh,
following her now, even Emma Stone is suing Disney for Cruella also, because she also got
okay,
cut from the same kind of deal. So
yeah.
like
Oh,
literally, like thing is like Disney is now untouchable. It's the mecca of entertainment, and like they think like you can't mess with them, so to say.
but this
But
goes
like
back,
these,
sorry
yeah,
to bring it up, but the John Wayne days and all, when MGM was king, and and
Mhm.
these actors for the first time wanted
yeah,
to
the studio
rebel
system
and get
used
out
to
of
like
contracts and
exploit.
all
Yeah.
that. It's actually just the same version, another version of the same thing. Control
But so
and
there's
who's the big
always
daddy?
there's always going to be this tension, right, between the people who are funding creation and the people who are creators. It's a fundamental tension that exists. There's no getting around it, right? I mean, like, because uh, uh, I come as the person, like, who works on the business side of things, right? And from my perspective, oftentimes it always feels like, creators want things their way and they don't value the contributions of other people who are putting their stuff together. From the creator's point of view, which I also understand, it's that, hey, I'm putting all my shit into this, right? I mean, like, I'm driving this, so I should be kind of be I should be compensated this. So there's always going to be this tension. The thing is that when somebody breaks their word is when things get fucked up, right? Negotiations are negotiations. Negotiations are hard sometimes. Like, you don't like what you get done. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're not, but those are negotiations.
No,
It's when
but see, it's also to do with the fact that what is just today is not just tomorrow.
exactly.
Simply because the whole equation has changed, and John Wayne is now a huge star. Sorry to give my references, and he realizes the movie is running on his name, and the
Right.
bums are coming seats because of him, and
Yes.
that's where the whole thing starts.
No,
Because when he started, he wouldn't have that attitude.
mhm.
The same with any contract. The contract is changed because you suddenly say, "Okay, I'm the ants pants. I'm the one who should be getting more equity out of this because without me, there is nothing."
So,
Now,
but
I'm
then
not saying
again,
who's right or wrong. I'm just saying it changes.
no, it does. But then again, the flip side of that is that if you sign a long-term contract, the people who are funding you have decided to take a chance on you because you are not who you were then, right? And so, there is, or like
You're
I
saying
said, there's a
letter of the law. Letter of the law
no,
is
no, no, no. I'm saying there's a tension over here that's always going to be
yeah.
there. It's inevitable. It has to be kind of, it's always going to be there, and we just have to really, really, everybody just has to work with it, right? I mean, like, the one thing that I would say is don't break your word, right? I mean, like, if you're on the business side of things, you should not break your word. If you're on the talent side of things, you should not break your word, because if you
And
are, huh,
no, the beautiful thing about corporations, my whatever I've observed over the years is when they want you, they become it's a friend and informal conversation, and we have dinners and drinks and all that. And when you fight them, it's a corporation and a wall. It's like two different sides.
it
It's
is.
completely different when it's a positive waltz going on between two partners, and a completely different set of people almost because then they hide behind the letters and the
No, but
the
that's
contract, so to
Cyrus.
speak.
That's all business, no, in some sense, right? Because again,
Yeah,
you
but
got
I'm
like,
saying if you kept it informal, sometimes you could solve these things. For example, if she picks up the phone and talks to, let's say, Mr. Smith in Disney,
hmm,
who was her go between, the one that she was speaking to before, whatever, and they just go for coffee and they find some kind of middle ground and there's no need for all this crap to happen. I mean, Disney
I
could easily
I
do it, but
I
they're also
doubt
playing hardball.
I doubt that they did. I doubt that it escalated to this point without those conversations first. I doubt that, right? But again,
If one party doesn't want to play, it escalates very fast. So if
so
one party says, I've got the big pants here and I don't want to play, that's what happens. And I'm
so,
presuming it's Disney.
so it
Although
must be
Yeah,
Disney, we love you and please throw some work our side, we will do
yes.
anything. Uh,
No, but
yeah. I mean, wear your pants.
bolo
uh,
kuch
it,
bolo.
it I mean, like, yeah, you're right. I mean, like, that's just how this kind of stuff plays out.
All right, as usual, we wasted everybody's time with some stupid conversation about
Fine.
some Marvel star who we'll never meet. Firstly, her name should be Johansson. In which bloody country is
Johansson.
J, not Y? Why is it Johansson? Nobody wants to ask
Yeah.
that
But
question.
And her name,
Here,
on the
first
that
name
flip
is the
should be
side,
name when I
Red.
got.
Red Johansson.
Yeah, red is better. And I used to,
This,
when I
this is
got
such a
hurt, I used
fancy
to tell my
currency
mom, give me
way
a
of saying red,
Johnson and
man.
Johnson. Shouldn't it be Johnson and Johnson? I mean, so confusing, really.
but on the flip side, Hugh Jackman, when Logan was coming out, the
Hmm.
studio was not ready
Yeah.
to make it R-rated because they didn't trust the movie would do well. So he personally took a pay cut along with James Mangold, the director, so the movie could get made with the R rating, and then they made more profits because the movie was so good. So there are
Wow.
flip sides to this kind of
How do you know
agreement
all
also
these
that works.
things? Are you God?
Just
You
like
know
how
too
you
many
know all the
details.
Beatles songs and all cricket names, I know these
That's
things.
not
Ah,
It's
difficult.
my
You
thing.
like something and you
yeah.
listen to the songs, they stay with you. You watch cricket,
Yeah, same.
I
Yeah,
mean,
Logan is a great movie. It's
you,
a masterpiece of its time. It's like for
but
my era,
how do
it's
you
like
know
the
the
best
inside
movie.
track about the stories behind the
I
scenes is
read
what
I
I'm
read
saying. I
trivia.
understand you
I
like
see
the
behind.
film.
Yeah, yeah. There's like if you go on YouTube right now, there's like 72 Easter eggs on every movie. On average, like there's 101 facts about every movie. So like you have to go and just like watch them. I do
My
that.
blood sugar level is up apparently. I don't think I should have Easter eggs. Well, it's still time for Easter. Where are we? Oh, Easter's gone. It's
Wait, eggs
August.
are eggs are good for blood sugar.
Eggs. Easter eggs are not eggs.
Oh, okay, all right.
Oh,
Yeah,
not, not the
that's
marzipan
not
ones.
that's chocolate, man. I mean, like, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
I
just
get
a
it.
lot
yeah.
That's
of a
not good.
bunny's asshole. You can't have that.
Mm-hmm. I don't mind if a seasonal gift like Easter also sponsors our show. That means only once a year we have a sponsor. But what the hell?
Yeah, yeah. But you should have it for the
Yeah,
Holy Week, so like you get more out of it. I think the
Holi's
whole
banned because of
not
lockdown.
the
It's
not
banned.
Holy Week, our Holy Week,
Or the
like
whole
Christian
Holy
Holy Week.
Week. I mean, if
Yeah,
you're talking
yeah.
to an Indian and you say holy, then I think holy. You can't say holy and, I mean, oh, it's
You
very
decide what
confusing. It's
you are,
worse than,
Cyrus first.
I don't know. I'm going to put a Johnson and Johnson on my mouth now. I'm feeling pain. It's amazing. Shall we get on with the formal work that poor
Yep.
Silverie sits and digs up stories, then we don't use any of
That's
them
fine.
because we've all segued
No.
from left to right. And he's got some nice ones this time, as so he says to put pressure on him. These are great stories,
Yeah, the best.
path-breaking moments, the best
These
ever.
are in the words of Donald Trump. These are the best stories you have ever heard.
Yes,
That's what he always says.
huge. Since we want to take that
Yeah.
further.
Huge. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So you guys already touched upon the Olympics before, and so every few years, this research will make the rounds, especially during Olympic times, is that people who get bronze, who win bronze medals, are of course people who win gold are always the happiest, of course, but people who win bronze are always happier than the people who win silver. Why do you think that is?
Okay.
Why do you guys
As a
think that is?
psychiatrist and a
Could be the reason.
psychologist and a sociologist, I
Yeah.
would like to take that answer. First and foremost, remember that in most places the bronze is a playoff, except for say running and athletics where it's in one shot. So what happens is you actually win your last bout or your last hockey match or whatever. So then it's like you won. So
Yeah.
if you see anyone celebrating the bronze medal, when they do that, they win it. It's that moment. So they have that moment separate. So I think that's a very different world when you look at those sports as against say running, where when you get the bronze, you feel equally bad because you sort of come third, where you would have liked to come second against third or first against second. That's my first theory. The second
Yeah.
thing is losing the goal, being very close to the goal, because that's like you had a chance of mutual funds really making money finally, and then the
Hmm.
market dipped again at the very last second.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to give something people can relate to because our
I
audience is
think it's
can
a very
actually.
historical thing also. Like historically,
Yeah.
humans had a great time during the Bronze Age. There's no silver or gold age in our history.
Finally, the
So
comedian came out. This is what he gave us. It was 25 minutes into the frigging show. The comedian finally wakes up,
okay,
and this is.
20 minutes of
I'm
Olympics. I'm
I'm not
sorry.
supporting your act ever again.
It's not
I mean,
Olympic age
really, 25
contract.
minutes per joke is worse than India's performance in the Olympics per capita. If you look at us, anyway, San Marino, 33,000 people have 3 medals. It's a country of 33,000 outside Italy somewhere. 3 medals in this Olympics. They've never had any before. So they are 11,000 per medal. It's the world record per population. We obviously have no face to show in that department.
Yeah, ours is the
But
inverse. It's like 1 per billion.
literally, what,
Nice.
1 per billion? We're at the moment 7. So, I mean, not even that. Let's see how it plays out. Maybe we'll come to 10, something like that, with a
Yeah.
few boxing matches left. And but that's it. One hockey match left.
Okay,
Female.
let's not go that
Girls,
far.
ladies,
So,
not female.
Yeah.
Female
but
is
Cyrus,
animals.
your two explanations as to why it could be are kind of close. What researchers said is basically bronze people are comparing themselves below them, So they are like, oh, at least I didn't come fourth or fifth, So at least it'll come something I won.
You won their
And they still
category in a
get to feel
sense.
that they won something for their country. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh, I
yeah.
did win something for my
It's
country.
when you
But
marry a
it's
woman
fine,
who's
dude.
not the ugliest but not the prettiest.
Yeah,
You're like,
exactly.
not
But
bad. Yeah, in
silver,
my category, I did okay. Huh.
yeah. But silver is always thinking, yaar, थोड़ा और तेज भाग लिया होता तो I would be gold. थोड़ा
Seerat
और my
Aman
shot could have been
itni
better. I would have been gold.
nazdeek thi, but
Yeah, exactly,
Aparna, you'll do.
exactly.
Aparna, you're okay, yaar. Aparna, chalo, theek
Yeah.
hai. Right lighting, mein you look okay. Leave it. Just look that way. Yeah.
Like even
Side profile, right
hypothetically, you
only.
don't take your wife's name. That's too funny, Cyrus.
If I
Like if
dare take my wife's name, it's the last podcast. Oh, that's my son.
So,
Good timing. Door
so
open. I
India
just
won
said it.
bronze.
This is like, huh? Yes, ask
India
me.
won
I'll
bronze
tell
in
you.
hockey, right? India won bronze
That's
in
in the
hockey, right? Am
yeah
I right?
the
men's
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 Yeah.
team,
hockey.
yeah.
We're
So
waiting for the women.
that's why I
Yeah.
think DNA's article headline was no gold for India in hockey, but bronze medalists are happier than those with silver medalists anyway. So I think they're just trying to
Really?
like come prepare yeah, that's what
Okay, may I
the
just say our
headline is.
ranking in hockey? Our ranking in
So
hockey
they're
is world
like,
number three. Our ranking is
okay,
world number three.
yeah,
Australia and Belgium won gold. Australia second. They are 1 and 2. So we played to form. So that's not too bad, honestly. The only teams that beat us were the teams above us in the rankings. And this is rankings
Also,
over
like some of these
whole year.
news channels will report it like India settles for bronze, India settles for silver, as if like they're going out for a doctor's conference or something.
No,
As
no,
like with
Naveen.
them, they
I mean,
went and they won something.
I was in the news studio
yeah,
all day
true.
today, and they were going berserk about getting people to write in and phone in, or text in and all that, to talk to your heroes. Suddenly they're your
Mm.
heroes. You've never given these guys 1 minute of footage in your life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
We win the bronze,
true.
and they went the other way completely, going to Manpreet Singh's house and Srijesh's house, and getting them all to the parents and the relatives, and they went berserk. Which means
yeah.
if we ever win a
Also,
gold,
yeah,
I think
Like the
India will stop
Assamese
for 2 days.
boxer, the
Well, it
Assamese
did.
boxer Lavlina, like her
Yeah,
house did not have a nice road also. Like from the main square to their house, it was like
yeah,
dirt road, which they've been complaining for years and years. And now
yeah,
BJP is like, oh, she just won a medal, so now let us build like a nice road.
yeah,
Like,
like,
is
yeah.
that what it takes in this country for
Yeah.
you to go and win
And
an
just for
Olympic
the record,
medal?
No,
You
no,
know?
just for
we're
record, Assam had a BJP government before as well, so in a training time as well. So
Yeah.
they have to
yeah.
account for a lot. Yeah, yeah.
we're
Mirabai Chanu's
absolutely.
house also. If you guys go to her background, Mirabai Chanu, our weightlifter who won a silver, if I'm
Mhm.
not wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
her life is also not as great as it should be for a
This is a
person who's
beautiful,
just won
yeah.
something great for our country.
No, but we're
But yeah,
absolutely front runners, right? In that sense, like we're whenever somebody wins, then we're all like rah 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 rah
hmm,
rah, and whenever somebody
yeah,
loses, we don't like. That's just the way that
Also, I think that'll
history is
happen
supposed.
anywhere in the world to some extent. Even if you're unsung hero
Yeah.
till the time, that's the difference between being a champ and not being a
Hmm.
champ. Overnight, it's like the Friday film thing.
Yeah, no,
It's a
like yeah, you're
success.
right.
Overnight, your life changes.
Even if you
but
Yeah.
like, you when you look at like what's the sports scene in the U.S., right? I mean, like the only sports that people care about are
I mean, he
NFL,
always brings up
basketball.
the US.
No, because again, you were talking about all the medals that they were winning, right? I mean, like his gold in wrestling and this and that. Nobody cares about that shit except for Olympic time. Other than that, they
Mm.
only care about like the major sports we have right
But
now in.
see, but,
Hmm.
they'll get their bang for their buck. This guy who won the gold and be the Iranian champion and all that, he will get picked up by somebody. He will make money. He will be an icon. He will talk at Harvard and the Ivy Leagues. The things will
But
happen for him.
dude, how?
Success. America. If you're successful, it's worth it. It's worth
But
your
I
while
think
in a country like America.
the same is true in India, right? I mean, like
I hope
we
so.
know the name of a shooter. We know the name. We all know the name Abhinav Bindra. We know the name of
Yeah,
somebody who is a shooter. How is like
because he's
how
the
do you?
only gold medalist in the history of
That's
India
what I'm
singles.
saying.
yeah,
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
why.
Right. But again,
San
like
Marino 3.
uh, no, but because shooting, because he did so well that time in the Olympics at this time, India was expecting to medal in shooting, right? It was expected that we would medal. We didn't. It was disappointing, but there
hmm.
was an expectation that we would, because again, it's like success breeds success.
But still, I think athletes who even make it into the Olympics should be like either well paid or well compensated already.
I absolutely
Uh,
Uh,
agree. I think you're the
okay.
best of your generation in a sport. That's like being the best marketing guy and say South Zone completely. I mean, come on, for God's sake, you should be compensated. It
so
should translate into
who
financial.
Yeah.
who cuts that check?
Well, I would say the state initially, for
Huh.
sure. When
But so
Mirabai
the
Chanu is
state,
winning national championships,
right?
the state should be sponsoring her in a better way.
I
Her house should
agree.
look a little better than what they
Absolutely.
presented. The sports fraternity and federations around her could have helped. But when she becomes an international champion, then the PMO has to pick up the phone.
Mm.
and say, bro, you don't have to. You brought glory to the nation. Now you relax.
Oh,
You'll
no,
make your biopic. It obviously will have to star Farhan Akhtar if it's a sports film, even if it's a woman. There's
No,
no
but
option. That's the
apparently
law.
the men's team coach did get a call from PM apparently, and he tweeted about it.
yeah.
That spirit is alive in the
I
boys'
heard
Again,
the
team.
call was collect, and there was a big problem trying to pay for it and all that.
listen, they
Yeah.
won, right? And so when they won something, of course they're going to get all that. I am going to
Hey,
just
Amit,
ignore
I'll
what
tell
was
you,
said.
my only thing is that when they're struggling, and the point that even Navin was trying to make, and Silvery, is that when they're struggling and coming up and they're doing whatever they're doing, they really don't get much support in
I
the less glamorous sports. I mean, who wants a woman weightlifter
Yeah.
around them? For God's sake, look at it against Virat Kohli or Sanya, Sindhu. They're all glamorous sort of, and then you got the weightlifter, and all the jokes
okay.
that go with that.
I don't
So
disagree with anything you're saying. I'm just saying that if you're asking the government to cut a check for these for sports, right, and for kind of supporting sports in this way,
Mm.
that's fair. I have no issue with that. I think that that's an appropriate use of what government does. But at the same time, look at our health infrastructure, right? Would you rather the government? I mean, like these are not.
don't get into that. You don't get into
No, but
now the
that's what
truths.
it is,
This is not
no?
Sophie's choice. No, no, no. That's not fair.
No,
We
it's
only
not.
when San Marino has three champions in 33,000, they're
Right.
going to go berserk trying to find funds for those three. We're a 1.3 billion people will come back with 8 to 10 medals.
Listen,
Those guys should be given, except for Sushil Kumar, who unfortunately did not understand that murder is not allowed in wrestling, or
Yeah.
at least it's
I'm not. I
allowed,
was
but
gonna do that joke, but I stopped myself. I was stopping
it's a
myself
peace,
all this
please.
while. No, I'm not gonna.
Please say. He
I mean,
got his
like,
TV. We discussed it on Cock and Bull. He asked for a TV in jail so he can follow wrestling in the Olympics. And they got to give it
Yeah.
to him. I just argued with my wife about this. I said, "But what about the other guys? But he's a Padma Shri and he won a silver medal, but he's still a murderer.
Yeah.
How can you say,
yeah,
let's say Mr. Sharma in the next cell, also a murderer,
Yeah.
equal the criminal record, but he doesn't get a TV? That's not right. Is that
it's
not right?
not.
Am
And
I wrong to think
eh,
this?
yeah.
by that logic, anyone can make an argument for getting a TV. You're like, I have to keep up with something in the world. What my work,
Yeah,
whatever work I did outside, I have
Eh,
to keep up with the jewelry market. So that's why I'm in
Or
this thing.
pottery,
Anything is possible.
yeah.
Yeah, pottery. Yeah, anything. I need a
I
phone.
just
You can make that
is my
excuse
name
for a
on
phone.
Pegasus. I will
Yeah.
only know through the television. Really. Anyway, let's not have
True.
negative thoughts about the
Very true.
sports persons. I'm saying at a
No,
time like
no,
this,
I
I
think they
think
should be supported, deeply supported, right? I mean, like
you
the
guys,
question though is that we don't have the infrastructure that would do that, right? There is a way to kind of create all of this infrastructure through
Amit,
sponsorships, through government, this, but we
I
need some corruption out of that stuff.
I understand what you're saying, but if I just go back to the women's hockey team and the introspection that you'll go through if you read their stories, beautifully written by this guy called Mihir Vasadawa in the Indian Express, and I'm sure you can find it. It's just wonderful. And you start thinking, what the hell have I done with my life? I brought in South Bombay. I went to fancy school, fancy college. I went to America, club membership. Somebody drives my car. People know my name. What struggle have I? And then these people, I mean, they have shoes. And today, that person is may put a bronze medal on her neck and stand on a podium in faraway Tokyo and have done sweet F all my life. You almost want to give your life back to God
Hmm.
and say, man, I bow before these people because where they come from and what they achieve, that perspective, if you take it from that context, it's fantastic. This is when I feel a little patriotism and I feel proud of whatever little Indianness that I have. These are the people. If I have to go to fight a war, I want to fight for them. Don't ask me to fight for
Absolutely,
the
man.
guys in Walkeshwar. I'm sorry, or Nevinji Road, or all these guys in Delhi who are destroying our lives with their stupid policies and attitudes. All those newscasters and news anchors that we are surrounded by. But these girls whose fathers and mothers struggle, the people around them struggle, they struggle, and you can see it in their eyes. That struggle, that character in their face. They're fantastic. I want to use the word sexy, but not in a dirty way. They're the sexiest people in the world. When you see that. And I tell you, my whole family have become huge fans. Of course, we're slightly leftist, so that whole thing is there that you're pro-communist as long as the banks are giving you more than 6%. Sorry,
Well, actually, in communism, banks give you 12%. It doesn't matter what
is
the
it
actual
true?
interest rate. Yeah, because it doesn't
Cuba!
it doesn't matter, no. In communism, what the
That's
actual market
true.
says the
Oh,
interest
you
rate
set
should
up a
be doesn't
joke and
matter. The government
so
says it
you
though.
opened your joke kitty at 6:34, and it was a glorious one. Naveen, we're under pressure. The old
No,
man
but
likes his basketball, but he can bang out a joke or two. Yeah.
but it is like communism only because all of us are claiming like we won the medal even though they do the hard work. Generally, it's
That's
like
true.
That's
mass
true.
communism only what they promoted.
When you
It
genuinely
really
wanted
is.
them to, when you genuinely feel proud if they win, if that is the feeling, I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
If you're
yeah,
acting on your, you just want to put it on your Insta so that people you know, which a lot of people
yeah,
immediately say, well done. Oh God, how many people use Chak De as a reference on their Insta the moment? I mean, really, I
Yeah,
mean, that should be
absolutely.
banned after some time,
Yeah,
right? We win the bronze medal, Chak
yeah,
De goes flying into the universe and nobody says anything. Where's the
some
government
people
now?
people
This is a
start
crime
calling the
against
actors from
humanity.
the
yeah.
movie. They
Uh-huh.
start calling the
Yeah.
girls from the movie to come and feature,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Dude, we played hockey for like
most,
3 months for the
most of them
movie."
who's some of their careers are so bad, went downhill, and they don't have TVs at home or anything at the moment. And
Yeah,
the only one who should be allowed is Shah Rukh. I mean, to
yeah.
use
I
the
was
word
friends
Chak
with one
De.
of them though. The girl who played
You
Meghna
who,
Reddy, she was my friend, Sandia Furtado.
but
She
it
was
couldn't go
also
Oh,
anywhere.
a
really?
national player. Yeah, she was. Her mom was the one who trained the girl,
She was like an actual hockey player, or the
hockey
one in the
player. Yeah,
movie.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. She
No,
was.
she
She
played for
was.
India or
She
close
played for
to
India, and
playing
she
for India.
also in the movie. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, that's cool.
Oh wow!
Now she's married in
So
Italian. She's happy
you
now.
know proper sports people, not like me.
This was from the church circuit, actually, surprisingly.
I'll
Back
tell you
when I
another
was.
sweet story. My mom was started watching this. I don't want to get angry with me. But in the beginning of that semi-final, in the first minute, keep in mind, guys, 15 minutes into four quarters for hockey. So it's like 15 minutes, 15, 15, 15. So the first minute is really not the time where you should be worried or nervous. There's lots coming. My mom was watching it with a hand like this. Like you watch a murder movie, when you're scared at the point where they're revealing the murder, a hand shaking like this, she's just looking and transfixed. So I really made me happy. I was like, hockey. Wow, that's not
Y- y-
bad.
Can I
It
say
can
it's
have that
also
power with
it
the right
was
stories.
it's
Yeah,
a
it's
fun
a
sport to
lovely sport.
watch.
Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
great sport to watch.
I'm
It's
a
Even me,
little.
as
fast, and you
someone who
pick
does
up the
not
ball
give a
on the
shit about
white ball on
sports
the
in general,
Hmm.
I went back to the highlights. I was like, this is fun to watch because, like, at any point somebody's
Naveen.
face can get banged up, somebody can get really badly
Naveen,
hurt, but they're controlling it very nicely.
Yeah.
to convert you, I need you to read C.L.R. James, the great Canadian writer, one of the greatest of all time, who gave us an immortal quote: "What do they of cricket know who only cricket know? It's never about the sport, right? Uh,
It's about the people.
the play is the thing in which I'll catch the conscience of the king. Read your Shakespeare, brother. It's never about the sport. It's much more than that. It's about the black man's pride, about 300, 400 years of oppression, standing up to the colonial rulers and teaching and beating them at their own game, and what the ramifications of that is. That's what, I mean, it's much more than just two teams and in Zindabad, 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 choots. Those are choots. They should not be allowed in stadiums. Those are just jungly morons. It's much more than layers of thought and philosophy when you actually get immersed. I'm sure Amit agrees with me, even though basketball I have no idea about, but there's much more to it when you
It
understand the
is.
players, who they represent, where they come from, what's going on, who the owners are. I mean, all that.
Oh,
That's
that
to me,
reminds me
man.
of
So
the
people
recent
with empty
football
lives like
match.
us talk about.
You all talk
But
about
then
that?
again,
The jingoism.
Naveen does that with Marvel movies, right? I mean, like he knows the
Yeah.
stories behind
Ooh,
the stories.
he does.
Yeah,
I'm
so
sure
it's
he's a
that's
closet
his.
underwear outside the pant guy. I'm sure. Hey, guys, do we take a
Yeah.
break? It's
Let's take a break. Yes,
6:38.
I just want to say.
It's the
Yeah, let's take a
longest
break.
show ever,
We went 37 minutes without a break, guys.
and without a
Yep.
Oh
story.
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Antariksh,
except
do
for
we
the
No,
know?
we did
the
so
bronze
many, so many
psychology.
stories. We
Yeah,
already got
Well,
two
yeah,
stories out, man.
I know.
Yeah.
Naveen has started drinking because the show is so horrible. In front of us, doesn't care anymore. Lockdown or no lockdown, you can't drink after 4 p.m. Or you can now. All right, the break's over. Coming
break
back,
is up.
Yes.
I met
Okay.
Pankal and Mr. Gambhir at their restaurant the other day. We
Uh-huh.
went to eat lunch, Amit,
Yeah,
and we're really upset.
he did. He put
Upset
a
with the
Instagram
policies.
post out, right? Like some
Yeah,
280 out of 400 days, their restaurants have been shut, compared to Bangalore and Delhi, which is like 150. He put out like a huge Instagram post on that. We're
yeah,
talking about
they read it.
Pankil Mehta
Well,
from Woodside.
who's been on the show and many
Yeah.
shows
Yeah.
of IVM podcast, one of the family, you can say.
Yes.
And just cut to 3 years back when they are the young new kids on the block,
Hmm.
sorry to use that phrase, opening restaurants everywhere. Everybody wants a part of them, and they've got ideas, they've got dreams. And these criminal moments that follow after that, now they have to worry about everything. You have to drop people, you have to shut restaurants, they've closed pantry, for example.
Yeah.
So very sad, very sad. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know there's not an easy solution to this pandemic and all, but I do feel the government, you're talking about paying for sports persons, they should have picked up the bills, for small industries, for small
Or maybe just not been so capricious.
mid-sized cap things.
No,
In
but
in
Maybe
Bombay,
not
actually, it
mid-sized,
makes no
small.
sense. Like like everybody who wants to go out and eat on an average will go out in the evenings, and you can't shut the restaurant. So I remember that day, we had to do an afternoon comedy show first of all. So we're doing comedy shows at 3 p.m.
It's
Second joke,
ridiculous,
Naveen.
Yeah,
Let me
man.
put it down.
After all,
I mean,
yeah,
and watch us at
yeah.
2:30 in the afternoon. We'll make you
And
spill your
when
guts
free
out.
tickets,
Yeah.
free tickets. If you have one shot of vaccine, come and watch us for free at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's frustrating.
Where?
And after the show is done, I'm like, maybe I can grab a bite. And every restaurant's open, like the doors are open, but you can't go inside because
You
they've turned
delivery.
the tables upside down and they're like, sorry, after 4 we can't serve. And that's just bullshit because people want to eat in the evenings or on the weekends. So
No,
everybody in
and
the restaurant industry is fuming right now.
no, so this whole timing thing, right? It's just nonsense from day one. It makes no sense for anything to be time barred. You have to bar capacity, not time. If you
Time,
want to
yeah.
kind of, if
And
you want to make
and it's a
sense, right?
and it's got to be mathematical, right? The
Mhm.
proportion is key, the
Yeah,
ratio is key. So if I'm having a wedding and 50 people are allowed, what does that even mean? If I
yeah.
have Wankhede Stadium, it should be 300 people. If I have a small room, it should be 20 people. You know, there's got to be a ratio and a
No, it
proportion
is.
to it,
It's
a
it
logic.
should be based on that. It should be based on what the capacity of space is, and basically, you want to give people some space. You don't want places to be crowded. I understand that, but this idea that stuff has to shut at 4 or stores have to shut at this, that's ridiculous. Because you're again, we've been
No,
saying this from the start, right? You're forcing
yeah,
people
Yeah.
to come in at a specific time rather than spread
yeah.
them out throughout the day.
Exactly. It's the same thing with
Yeah.
shopping also when they give you a window of so many hours.
Yeah.
But I remember I always go back to that guy from UK, the pub owner, middle of the line pub owner, some fancy pub, where he just said just very sarcastic in the typical Brit style. He looked into camera and said, "So what the government's telling us is that at 10:01 the virus is alive." After 10
Yeah,
o'clock,
exactly.
there's no virus. But at 10:01 the virus will is alive and will get you. And it's just absolutely correct. That's the logic. That's the only logic you can add to it. That the virus is following timings, and so should you.
Yeah.
It's
I can
ridiculous.
say I get no support from the
No, no,
No,
people
well,
on
No,
the
we
absolutely.
are
other
all
we
end.
agree
agreeing.
with
We
you
all like
100%.
we
We
are
agree with
agreeing
you
in
so
silence
much.
because it's
Yeah.
so such a densely,
I mean,
stupid thing to
I'm
do.
such an insecure comic. I've been doing shows on Zoom. Nobody claps or laughs. There's no timing, so you don't know anymore if you're working because
I
you
know. I
don't get
feel
that
your
instant gratification
pain.
that you need. I mean, without that, how do you know? I mean, it's
Antariksh,
an
I can
art
feel
form
your
which is
pain
all about the
totally.
second half. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not like poetry or something where we can just or maybe a ballet or something where they just watch you and they don't have to do much. Here we
Have
need
you watched
them.
the movie Contact with Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey? Like in the first part of the
Nah,
movie, she's just sending signals into space, and nothing's coming back, and that's what it feels like. It's just like you're screaming
really.
jokes into
I,
the
every corporate
stratosphere.
show I try to tell them just let's keep it interactive. Let me talk to
Yeah,
someone so I can talk back to them like we're doing now.
yeah.
It's
We
just
do that
pointless.
now,
10-minute
where like
monologue.
yeah, on Zoom they allow the front 10 seat, like a front seat system they have now,
Huh.
where we can have somebody
But
to
they
like poke
unmute.
fun
Will
at.
they unmute
They do,
when
they
you're
do.
talking?
We have to like really get on their case, like, come on, like talk to me types. But some corporate shows, like, because I did a lot of them in June for Pride Month, some of them were horrible because I was just like monologuing in the air for 1 hour. And some of them were like, I'm like, now I'm Shakespeare, I guess. But then at some point, some of them were like, okay, let me unmute, let me show my face, and at least give this person some bone to work with. So yeah,
Yeah.
it
You have to
was
get some two
humiliating.
assistant comedians to work as the gallery for you. To
Yeah,
push
yeah.
the
So
gallery. Like
I
you
had
would do
opening
in the
act.
plays sometimes. We'd plant our guys there to clap, to start the clap. Believe
Yeah,
me, we have to do that. There's nothing wrong with
brava.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you take less cut, you take only 50% and they get like 50% because that's a very important point. Hey
yes.
Naveen, that's damn funny, yaar. And then you can, riff with the guy who said that, and then he goes on mute again. You carry on.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry. Where were we,
So
Mr.
can
Silver?
we get to another story because Naveen has to leave in another 7 minutes or so. A little early
Yeah.
Why?
today.
Where does he have to go?
Yep.
I
It's
I
read
not.
his
have
I
a
thought
tweet
I have
about
a
everything is.
40.
I thought everything is shut. Where are you going?
No,
I have
no,
a
he
day
has
job.
like.
I read your tweet on going to the bathroom as you age. That you need to spend more time. Very, very
Yeah,
acute observation. But let me tell you, it's not about spending more time in that one session, it's about going many more times. That's the problem. In that sense,
that
the
has
time
happened now.
effect happens.
Yeah, like I wake up at five to
Brother,
pee.
whatever's happening now,
Yeah.
it's going to get much worse. I'm 50 in 48 hours. I'll tell you about
I'm
it.
I'm I'm 30 in a month, so I know.
You want to switch?
No, please. I have so much more to do. Oh shit. I don't even want to be around when I'm 50. I'm sorry. I just want to like check out
Fair enough.
as soon
See,
as
first
possible.
the
Yeah.
first the girls, then all the people I grew up. My role models all died in their 30s. You just take a name: Alexander, Mozart, Jesus. Everybody, they all look what they achieved. What
Yeah.
do we do? These
When
girls,
I
the
was
girl from
younger, I was more
Jharkhand with no
optimistic.
money, nothing, and she may stand on the Olympic podium tomorrow. And
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
got we got this show. I mean, we got this show. I mean, that's something.
It is
Greece,
something.
Yep.
Turkey, countries are turning to us, I'm told.
It's something. It is a thing.
Okay.
San
Last
Marino
story.
wants
Last
this
story.
because we mentioned them 5 times. Nobody else in the whole world ever has done that.
I think they're
Small little
sponsoring
island.
them now. Yeah.
It's not even cyan. I'm trying to think what could it be. What? It's so small that I can't describe it. I can't get the
Chakala.
right description. Chakala
It's
is much bigger,
Chakala
Baba.
on a Friday evening. It's
No, on a Sunday
33,000
evening.
one signal.
You got it
One
less.
signal.
Yeah, you got to bring them down. 33,000 people with 3 medals. Ouch! What a complex. I'm never
Yeah.
touring San Marino. They'll be like Indian. Ha! Ha, ha, ha. No way. No way. Those
Go
racist
from
guys, I
Zoom
tell you.
only. You're like, I'll do a Zoom show.
Yeah. Yeah, that's our life now. The biopic, 80% will be flesh, and then last 20% Zoom because of Corona. Silvi, any more stories?
Yeah.
6:45.
Yes, absolutely. So this a video has gone viral. Actually, multiple videos have gone viral for the last 2 days of from Lucknow. This woman in the middle of traffic. I'll show you the video also. In the middle of traffic, okay, so the signal has turned green. After the signal turns green and there are already cars crossing, right? Already cars passing by. This woman decides to try and cross the road, okay? And she just casually starts walking down the middle of the road, and with not even paying heed to the what other vehicles are passing by. And when she reaches the one certain point, a cab driver in a white Wagoner basically is speeding down the road, and he sees her last minute, so he stops. But like it seemed like quite a distance off. Like
So she's
she was not
jaywalking.
in
Let's put
harm's
it
way.
out
Yeah,
there.
yeah, she was jaywalking exactly, and he did not harm her in any way. This cab driver stopped in advance, but this woman got pissed that this guy, how can he just not see me crossing the road, jaywalking, and not still pay heed to my
Yeah.
royal highness, whatever. And so she comes over to the driver's side of the car. She pulls him out of the car and starts slapping him like a lot, not just once or twice, more than 20
And
times.
this was the first day of Mirabai Chanu's life after coming back to India.
Yeah.
I just, I mean, I can't believe it.
So
I think if Mirabai
Lucknow has a
Chanu,
signal. Lucknow has a traffic signal
Yeah.
and it works. First,
if
yeah.
Mirabai Chanu had smacked him, then I don't think that he would be getting back up.
They wouldn't need so many
That's
smacks.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fair enough.
he would be down.
But
Yeah.
He'd be out.
let's see it because we are making fun.
So
But
no,
it's
no, but
quite. It's a,
can I
uh,
ask Antariksh the question while you're
Yes.
playing the video? Oh, okay, all
yeah,
right. So
yeah,
you do have all of this. Okay,
yeah.
all right. Yeah, no, because I hadn't.
So you see this. This is the woman.
Mm.
Yeah.
This is the woman.
It's
She's
already
hitting him.
started.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's already started. So she's already here. I show you a previous. Sorry, I'll start with another previous piece. Bear with me. I'll start with
Yeah.
He's
with the
got
recording that goes a
multi-camera.
little
That's
home
okay.
behind.
It's not
Yeah,
the Zapruder film. We got the point. Let's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's true.
But
Yeah.
I like watching things. I'm like a kid.
I
So
know,
see
But
this.
you keep
This
talking.
woman starts
Amit,
crossing.
you don't
She's
want
the
to
one.
sit.
This is crossing
Amit, you
here.
don't want
She's
me in
crossing here.
the theater with you.
Crossing
Otherwise, I
here.
can't stop talking while watching.
She's
This
crossing
is
here,
like
and now this
normal
cab
Andheri
Yeah.
stops.
behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, that's ridiculous.
Okay. Yeah, and now she comes to this side, pulls him out of the car, dude.
Yeah.
Antariksh can feel
This
his
is
pain very
crazy.
hard.
Yeah, man, you can't just slap someone who's driving his
How many
car.
slaps
He
were
didn't do anything
counted?
wrong.
Silvery? How many
And
slaps
then
were counted? Like 12 or something.
more than 20, easily
Yeah,
more than
it
20.
was. She spent some time doing it. Like one,
Yeah.
then wait for
That's
6,
why
7, 10 seconds, 20
It
seconds,
was an
then
entire
another.
she was that
Yeah.
gladiator.
That's
Like,
why
are you not
Yeah.
I'm
entertained?
wondering if
She
it's a
was
setup.
doing all this. She was building
And
the
the
crowd.
crazy
You
thing
know.
is, that
Insta.
after some point, some cops also show up, but they do nothing. When they see a woman slapping a guy, they don't know what to do.
Because after Me Too,
Even the cop,
the man is considered guilty for the first 2 years
Yeah,
yeah,
the
after
guy
you
even said
file an FIR.
after he was interviewed, he said that my first fear was if I hit her back, then it'll turn into
Uh,
me being the oppressor. And that's why I just kept quiet. And plus, it's not my car, it's my employer's car. So, like, I was defending the car
and,
more than
and
anything
and
else.
thirdly, he was worried he may lose to her in public. So best to pretend he's a Gandhian and keep his
Yeah.
hands down. Yeah.
although I should say also that she has a very weird style of slapping. Like every
Can you
slap is
show us?
like she
Can you slap
jumps
yourself
in the
and show
air.
us?
I mean, I won't fit in
But
the
that's
entire
not weird.
frame.
That's she's putting whole body into it.
Her
She's taking the
entire body
momentum.
weight, yes,
She's
true.
packing the
And
entire
dude,
body
but
into
they were
that
hard
punch
slaps.
in a way.
Hard
She's like my
slaps.
Olympic
I have to
preparation starts
commend the
right
guy.
there.
Yeah, I have to commend the cab driver. He's been identified. His name is Shadat Ali. I have to commend the guy because he did not raise his hand. He did not raise his voice. Even he did not fire any bad words at her. It was commendable that just the amount of patience this guy had and self-restraint this guy had. At
Right.
some point, so he's getting slapped. She's pulling his collar. She drops his phone breaks. All of that shit. Okay, and after some time, a guy who is also recording the whole thing, he comes and tries to help the driver, the cab driver. This woman starts slapping that guy. I'm
Oh,
like,
really?
So she's
what is wrong with this lady, dude? Yeah,
nothing. She
this
just
sad.
likes to
She's on
slap.
a slap a bitch
Uh,
mission.
yeah,
She's
another
like,
thing. Luckily, this video came out and went viral because when cops came after this whole thing, right? The cops thought or whatever in their explanation was that the cab driver was the one at fault, even though he actually clearly wasn't, right? But they assumed he was at fault, and they started whatever charged him, and I think he even had to go to jail or something like whatever. Went to lock
Is
up
this
for
like a
like a night or
Zomato?
something.
This is like a Zomato story again, huh?
Yeah,
All
you're
over
right.
again.
You're absolutely right.
the
But
punching
then,
thing.
so after 2 days after this event, if this incident happens, the video comes out and goes viral because I think multiple people caught the incident happening, and it goes super viral. Immediately, the guy gets released, and the woman is the one being charged now. I mean, and
Did she slap the cop?
she's in the wrong
Not
clearly.
yet.
No,
Not yet.
she could easily have slapped the cop also. Wouldn't be surprised. But
Yeah.
a very
I'll
bizarre.
tell you who will
horrible
file the
story, yeah.
FIR on behalf of the police. The husband. He must have been slapped so much by now. Can you imagine? Naldo andar, Naldo. Please request.
He
Yeah,
released
but
the video. That's what yeah, correct. You're right. Yeah.
yeah, he
Like,
released the
"Arey,
video. Like,
this will go
Jaldi.
viral. Yeah.
Uh,
He promoted it, put money behind the video, so it made sure it went viral and all that. Man,
and then
what
he
a-
and Shadat Ali got married and lived happily ever after. This is
Yeah.
a good ending.
yeah, he got a
No,
driver
you want to
also.
go?
Yeah,
Good husband also.
jaywalking
He
is
needs
a
to
hilarious
go,
concept.
Silvery.
Okay, Naveen, there's one question for you. We can get to the AMAs. There's
Wow.
one question for you, and then you can leave.
Yeah.
Faye Norona asks AMA for Naveen. Are you a Goan Norona or Mangalorean?
I'm a proud Mangalorean. Okay, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I said that
What do you
in
mean?
such a sarcastic manner.
Unless
No,
they've left you land in Bangalore, why are you proud? This pride
no,
is
but
only when there's
then
lots of
both
land.
are both Goan and Mangalorean Naronas are from Portuguese origin only, so I don't know how it matters.
So you're
They've
Ah,
spread
racist.
their
Then just
seed
say
all
that,
around.
nah. Just say you're racist. You don't want to be desi. Fair enough. We accept it. Yeah.
I don't want to be Desi. Yeah, I have better features than most Desi people. I'm
but
proud
then
of
I
it.
think if you were a Goan Norona, you could do the whole Portuguese citizenship, right? Mangaloreans, I don't
Exactly,
think get
I
that,
exactly.
think they
right?
can that now, no?
Yeah,
They can that.
yeah.
They
I
stopped
think
it or
No, no,
whatever.
don't
still
they?
it's still around.
Still on?
It's one of the biggest pride that Goan Mangaloreans have. Goan Christians have. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
To
I'm
escape
not
India.
Goan. Exactly,
We just say
exactly.
all the wrong things we don't intend to, but it's just all wrong from start to finish. Yeah. Imagine the Parsis going back to Iran. Oh, okay. I mean, it's that bad.
Yeah, but in
Silvery,
Konkani, there's also a joke on Norona, which is like Norona, which is no husband. It's a
Oh, I no.
um,
It means no husband.
yeah, Norona
hus-
is like is a joke. It's a pun
husbandless.
in
Okay.
Konkani.
Husbandless.
Husbandless, yeah.
Okay. All
It
right.
doesn't apply to me
Interesting.
really.
Okay,
Sorry.
can I do my gag? In UP, there's a woman who slapped a cab driver or something who is now Norona. RTC, Amit, reference the context. That's what we
Yes,
literature
I
students
get
are
you.
best at.
I hear
We
you.
put it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do they of cricket know? Only cricket know. Understand the system. You have to read in. It's an onion layers. Peel those onion layers. God,
Yeah,
I'm
so even
hungry.
my ancestors have to do all this to get here. I'm just saying. They had to go to so
Well,
much struggle so I could learn about Marvel movies and talk about them. You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
going to call you Vasco after Vasco da Gama. How's that?
Yeah.
Since you're Portuguese. Unless you want to be called Coca-Cola in as a homage to Ronaldo. Which one do you want?
No, I like Vasco only. Vasco
No,
da
I like
Gama,
Coco.
something in his pajama. I remember that was a
Oh, I remember
Supposed to
that.
be
yeah,
ruthless, huh?
something yeah.
Killed a lot of people, that Vasco. Tell
Vasco,
you.
yeah,
Yeah, he
Be
you
did.
very
did. All
careful.
of them
So
were, right?
remember Josh, where there's a town
Very
called
brutal.
Vasco, and Vasco da
Yeah,
Gama was
Yeah.
apparently
Yeah.
Aishwarya
That Shah Rukh Khan thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
ancestor.
some
Yeah,
yeah
this
Yeah.
ancestor. Yeah.
fucking bullshit that
Wasn't
movie.
that a takeoff on West Side Story?
Yeah, it was like full
Yeah,
like
Josh
Eagle
was West
Bittu
Side Story.
gang. It was Begaset, and also they had the biggest butchering of the Konkani language which Shah Rukh Khan does in the movie, and I can't forgive him forever. His name is Maxi. Anyways, chalo, bye
Well,
guys. I'm done. I'm
well,
done
where
with
are you
opinions.
going?
I
Where are you
have a
going?
work call. I have a work call.
Like, you won't tell
So
us more details? Like, is it Pegasus, that
no,
issue? What is the issue?
I have an NDA. I'm
You're
under
an
an
MBA?
NDA,
Oh, NDA.
NDA.
non-disclosure
Okay. Which
agreement. Yeah.
also a collaboration in the government with the same name. So that's very confusing.
Yeah.
Cool. Bye,
Yeah.
Naveen. Thank you
All
for
right.
being there.
See ya.
Thanks,
Tomorrow we
Naveen.
have a special Cyrus Broacha birthday episode. Catch that. It's featuring my
Yeah.
wife and
Yep.
me and maybe Kunal.
I'll wish you.
Yeah.
I'll send you a nude. Yeah.
No, no.
So
Bye.
you
Let's
just
not go that far. Next thing we'll be having a relationship. You don't want that. Don't be silly. He's left.
So,
Yeah.
Cyrus, you just basically blew up something, right? These guys have been planning to like kind of make it like mysterious who is going to be on it, who is going to be on it, and then have Kunal and Aisha
Oh,
show
you
up.
gotta tell me.
They've been doing all this social media stuff around
That's
it, and you
fine.
just kind of
No.
blew it all up.
I mean, it's an evening
Why did you
earlier.
tell
I think
me?
it's fine. Now
You're the
people
only
know.
person who
It's
doesn't
fine.
follow the show is
Evening
me. You
prior.
have to tell me. You also have to put pressure on my wife so she doesn't back off in the last minute. Yeah. Okay, we can change it.
No, that's fine.
Can
We
it be
can.
somebody else's wife?
All right.
Cut to Cyrus being slapped. Haji Ali circle. Tap, tap, tap. Yeah. All right. Come on, bro. Let's do
Let's
the
get
Yeah,
AMAs.
let's
It's
do a
yeah,
couple
yeah.
double
more
Let's
time.
get
questions. Yeah.
let's get to some more questions. This one comes in from Preet. It's a comment saying "Spirit of Mumbai is a compensation for fuck all roads," and I think
It's
he's
worse than
absolutely right.
just the roads. It's not just the
Yeah,
roads. It's worse than the roads.
yeah, absolutely. So
No, the
yeah,
thing is, I don't understand why we don't revolt more. Why don't we have the rebelling gene in Mumbai? Some parts of India have it, but lots don't have it. And
Yep.
it's like we just take it all the time. We just take it. And
It's because so I think one part of it is like it's a mercantile culture, right? So it's like let's get on with it, and this doesn't affect me,
yeah,
and let's kind of just move on. And let's just how do I get
exactly.
ahead, right? So I mean, like there is part of that, right? But I think the other thing is just in some ways, I mean, like it sucks and it's awful and it's terrible and it's all that, but at the same time, it's where it's not. It's where we all got what we're doing, right? I mean, like it's where we're from. It's what we do.
When politicians sell you with emotion and spirit of Bombay and what have you, you get fooled once, you get fooled twice, but generations of us getting fooled all the time. It's
Yeah.
not about that. Are you helping my children get to their colleges abroad, whatever your issues are, or the roads in the case of Preet or Silvery wanting to go for a drive with his friends and have a beer here and there, whatever the friggin' issues are you helping with all that? That's what the citizenry should be asking. Some of these are huge issues, some are minor issues, but they all irritate.
Yep.
It's a collective irritation that goes on generation after generation, and then lip service being a spirit of Bombay, and we all should be together, and you're anti-national, and it's all over the place.
Anti-national is nonsense, right? I mean, like
Yeah, but
the
it starts from that, no? That you're
yeah, I
challenging the
guess.
government. Like in the beginning, nobody wanted to question what we're doing. Is the lockdown going to be effective? How long are you going to have it? What are the rules and regulations that are acceptable and fair so that we don't die economically?
Mhm.
Nobody said, "Oh no, you must do it. Wear your mask, stay at home. Solar eclipse, shut your windows." Morons. Don't want to rebel.
I hear
Maybe
you.
this. We need to drink more. People must drink more. You think that'll get us sponsors?
Yeah, I think so. Actually, we have some interesting conversations going on right now.
You run away to America and left us with the bag. Chalo.
I don't know. I'm back.
Next
I'm
question.
back next week itself. I'm coming back early.
But I hope you're taking. I hope you're having a break as well from everything. There's no point
N-
going there and just being on the comp all day.
no, I did. I came for work, dude. I mean, like I finished it, and now I'll be back next week. So I'll
So
take a
no
break
time
after.
off.
Not really. I mean, like weekends are
Oh,
off.
that's true. We have a lockdown to look forward to.
Yeah.
Come fast. In the words
what
of
do you
Kamala
think?
Hassan, come fast, don't be slow.
Do you think the process of you coming in will be more different than you catching the flight to there?
So I need to get a test
Yes.
done over here too, right? I need to get the RT-PCR test done, and then after that, we'll see. I don't know. I mean, like I've heard that it's not that bad to come in right now. So we'll see what it
Okay.
goes like. We
All right.
will know
Cool.
more next week. Stay tuned.
We may do
All
the
right.
show from the airport.
Yeah, that would be
That would
Amit
interesting.
is undergoing a
Yeah.
variety of
no,
tests as we
that
speak.
that would really
Uh,
suck. I get in like Wednesday night, and so if I were doing this show from the airport on Thursday evening, that would really suck.
Hmm.
oh, that's
But
true.
no, actually, I
India
think
time,
it could be interesting also. As long as you
24
have good
hours.
internet, it could be an interesting episode. Just
We have the
No, it
best
could
ever.
not.
yeah.
I would have been in the
Finally,
airport for 24 hours at that point in time.
I
It
mean,
24
would
hours,
okay,
but
not
that's
there's
be
no
true.
lag.
That's true. Okay, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Okay,
right.
try it as an experiment, Amit. I mean, it's your call. Yeah.
No, no. I
L-
think I'm okay with coming back and doing it from my, the familiar background that I've been doing this with for the last year and a half.
Of course, your
Hmm.
opening presentation will cause trouble because you'll say live from an airport which is named the same name as 17 other institutions. So I'll just say airport. Okay,
Uh,
next.
yes.
All right. Next one comes in from Mehul Vora. He says, AMA from Norway. Thanks, Mehul, for joining us. What do you guys
It's a
think
very common
about the.
Scandinavian name, both Mehul and
Mehul Vora,
Vora.
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
I,
Yeah,
I
very true.
follow Norwegian politics. Yes. Go on.
Yeah, yeah. What do you guys think about the more and more cases of mental health
Don't
issues
start
these
me
days,
off on
due to
this.
which Ben Stokes dropped out of
I'm
the India England series? It was
Silverie,
similar for
Amit, don't
Simon
start me
Biles,
off.
the
I
American.
did my TV show in the morning. Yeah, and Naomi Osaka, who
Yeah,
we've spoken about,
Mhm.
and I
yeah.
fought with my wife over this, my mother over this. I just, for me, the whole thing is, there's an empathy level, of course, and everybody has a right to a mental depression and all. But at the end of the day, all these people have the world at their feet. So it's very hard for me to accept this kind of pain that they all seem to be in. This guy's the most talented cricketer in the world. He's a multimillionaire. He's loved by cultures like India and all. I mean, who gets that kind of fame in their lifetime from across the seas? Simone Biles, the most famous gymnast of a generation, a multi-billionaire, everything. The same thing with Naomi Osaka. I mean, uh, why are successful people so fragile? How did they become successful? What's going on while I was sleeping?
No, I think, Cyrus, the thing is that there's an understanding more so than earlier about this stuff, right? Again, I think that these are different issues. All of them are different issues, right? So I think in the Ben Stokes case, I'm probably the most sympathetic compared to Naomi Osaka or compared to Simone Biles. I'm probably most sympathetic in this case because he dropped out, and that's the end of it, right? I mean,
Yeah,
like
before it started, he dropped out,
before he
which
started, he
is
dropped out.
slightly commendable.
In the case of Simone Biles, right? I mean, like, I understand the
You're
problems
there.
she had, but
But
she
she's
was
back now,
there.
by the way.
No, she was there and she took a spot from somebody.
She took
That's
a
the
That's
spot
true.
in
thing.
the team. So then she said,
Yeah.
I'll get out of the team thing, had a couple of days to rethink, and then did the paddle beam thing
S-
and didn't win, came
Yeah,
third.
but
Yeah.
somebody lost a spot to her, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's
And also
messed up,
the
right?
spirit of the whole team. I mean, you suddenly have
Yeah.
this happening, it distracts. I
Yeah.
mean, professional athletes, you're out there. This is once in 5 years, as it turned out. Uh, okay,
No,
maybe
so
I'm being insensitive
I'm
because
sympathetic.
the ladies in my house just completely attack me about this. Like,
I'm
Mm.
sympathetic
it's
to
like
some of it.
secularism.
Yeah, no, I'm sympathetic to some of it, right? I feel like, you have to be more understanding of the problems that occur with this. And these are real issues, right? Mental health issues are real. But there's also, I mean, like, it can't become a thing, right? I mean, like, in the sense that you can be sympathetic to a mental health issue, but it's the same as another injury. You can't accommodate it, right? Just because there's a you if there's a mental health issue, then it has to be dealt with at the time that it needs to be dealt with. It can't be something that, if somebody has a torn ACL, they should not be participating in in an Olympic
Major
tournament where it can
tournaments,
flare
yeah.
up, right? So if you're somebody who feels like you have mental health issues, then you need to identify that before you take spots from other people. That's the thing. You can't take spots from other people if you're not going to participate.
May I just add that I feel fragile very often, but
Hmm.
I turn up for these shows.
Yeah.
I feel very depressed. I sometimes cry for no reason. I sweat a lot and I smell, but I turn up in
Yeah.
spite of all these obstacles. I think as a professional, once the bell rings or the theater curtain opens, you're on and that's it. You just get on with it.
Yeah.
And then after that, you can be as depressed as you want. You can do drugs, drinks, whatever it is, and have a bad life. Who gives a damn?
Mm.
You do your thing you have to do.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah,
you're there.
I heard an argument about this, saying that this is the difference between a like a legend and a great player,
Hmm.
like, or a great athlete. In the sense, like someone like LeBron James, I'm sure he also has like mental issues and
Yeah.
Of
whatever,
course, he
has
has
like
bad
going through
days.
depression.
Yeah.
He's a
Yeah,
human
exactly.
being.
But he is able to switch that on.
Mm.
It's like a
That's
comedian, right?
what.
You're able to
Yep.
switch on the comedy. So you're able to
Yeah.
switch on that athletic side of you when you have to be on court and play. And
So
that's what change the difference between legend and great.
100% agree, right? I mean, like, if you think about it,
Yeah,
we look about this. Sorry, when we think about players who have, or athletes who have endurance, right? I mean, like, people who can just show up week after week
Mm.
for, or game after game, and, like, they don't take time off for injury. You're going to start seeing this on the mental health side of things as well, right? Who is mentally tough and who is mentally, or who has mental issues, right? I don't know if tough is the right adjective
yeah,
there,
maybe
right?
the
But
wrong word to use, but
Mm.
yeah.
yeah,
But I mean,
who
I think you just step up,
who's
man. I mean, think of Ben Stokes stepping into the feet of the great Ian Botham. I mean, that's
yeah.
always going to be the yardstick for British guys.
Mhm.
And I mean, Botham had all kinds of controversies and problems. He drank too much and all that, but he turned up. He
Yeah.
turned up. Working class hero. That's it. This is it. I turn up. Same with LeBron James. I'm sure you have in NBA a lot of fragile people, strange stories. The Dennis Rodmans, all
Yep.
colorful theatrical
Kyrie
acts, all
Irving.
that.
Kyrie Irving
There you
disappears
go.
whenever he wants to, right? And I mean, like, but then that's the difference, right? Kyrie Irving is never going to have the same degree of toughness that you would
Greatness.
see
No,
with a LeBron James, because Kyrie Irving is flaky, right? I mean,
that's
like, and
what.
Yeah.
again, I'm not trying to be dismissive of the fact that mental health issues are real, but
Yeah.
you have to treat them in a way, and you have to deal with them in a way which is appropriate.
Or they go because
Yep.
they just can't cope. And then
Yeah.
you really sympathize because you've lost a great talent, and that
Hmm.
has happened.
Hmm.
You go. It's the same thing if you're working in an MNC for me, man. They're
Yeah.
under pressure. You got targets, you got to deliver this and the other. I mean, you were under immense pressure a couple of
Yes.
years back. You could have folded.
Yeah.
You also went through depression, but you don't. That's the whole story of
Right.
humanity. If you don't, you just have to stand and take the punches.
Hmm.
And
You
that's
got.
why we look up to these guys. And then this happens, and I was saying, "What? You want to be me for 20 minutes? I'll be you." I can't wear those
Although
gymnastic outfits. They
another
look
thing
so
to
tight.
consider though that I just thought of is it is possible that some people realize that they're going through mental issues late, right? When they're in the heart of it, it is possible that that's when they realize, oh man, this is what I'm going through. So what should I do now?
Easy.
So and then they consult the people
Fame,
who they
with
consult.
fame, one of the problems, whether it's Elvis or you look at really superstars in India, Amitabh Bachchan, it's tough to have friends. It's tough to relate to people. It's tough to, because you're really like a demigod. Or there are all kinds of issues that you and I can't relate to because we won't be like that. But
Hmm,
having said that, it comes with the territory, and you know that.
I
You
know.
grew up in a village. You're waiting to be great, famous, whatever. You once you get it, you can't just throw it away. And if you throw it away, then and you can't cope, that's fine. But you can't say, "Give me 5 minutes, now I'll walk off. Now I'll be on the bench for some time." I find that a little irritating.
Mhm.
You know,
It's
I just
you've got to make choices, right? I mean, like I understand that. I get it, right? I understand that people have mental issues, mental health issues. I understand that there are things that affect you beyond this, and I get all of that. I'm sympathetic to it, but I also feel that there is a time and place to kind of call this stuff out.
I think we are
Hmm.
contributing to those mental issues with our shows.
Yeah.
A lot of people are probably much better before the show starts, and then by the end of it, like, oh,
Hey,
if
it
Ben
is.
Stokes and Naomi Osaka can't cope, what the hell?
Yeah. Right.
Okay,
Next one comes in from Vinay
Let's.
RK.
Mhm.
Sorry, is that?
last one.
No, no, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep. Okay. This one comes in from Vinay RK. He says, "Hey guys, AMA from Holland. Do you think governments across the world will ever be allowed by people to transition out of short-term code-controlled band-aid solutions and move to long-term preventive strategies?"
Uh,
hmm.
I,
Slightly
I think
difficult
though long-term
answer.
they are trying for long-term
yeah, I
solutions
don't.
also.
Vaccine
Yeah,
would
vaccine is
good
your
long
long-term
term in a
solution.
sense,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
which
know
is
if
the
I,
only.
the premise of this question. I don't know if I agree with it in that sense, right? Governments
No,
would much rather get out of short-term band-aids, right? Because short-term band-aids are the ones which are causing the maximum economic pain. But at the same time, you have to deal with the short term, because in the short term, that's when people wind up in hospitals, right? Where you can't treat and you can't do that. So I mean, like I don't know that I agree with this with the premise of the question. Everybody would rather go to a long term strategy, which is vaccine, right?
I also think in the
Yeah.
Western democracies, that the Boris Johnsons and the what have you, they try to pick up from the people what the sentiment is how much they can tolerate or not.
Mm,
In the Indian democracies and some of the other countries of the world, it's more like we will tell you what to do. So in that issue, there's a big dichotomy in terms of, and that's what I'm saying. We don't have a rebellion because we don't want to assert ourselves. In a
mm,
Western democracy, there's a better chance of that happening because this is one of the issues in our lifetime where I think we have to be contributing to it. It
mm,
can't be a policy that's decided on paper by 10 people in a air conditioned room somewhere far away. I find that this becomes more and more dangerous. I think more people have to be involved because you have to represent all segments, society, populations, markets, all have to hear the voices and then decide. It's a damn tough thing, no doubt about it. I don't want to be PM while this is on, or CM, or even a cabinet secretary of
Absolutely.
any kind. I'd rather be in the
Yeah.
Olympics, for God's sake, in San Marino
Like
with
yeah,
my
that's exactly
country.
right.
With my,
That's what happened to the New York mayor. Was it the who's the brother of
Cuomo, yeah,
Cuomo?
Cuomo.
Cuomo.
the
Yes, you're
CNN
right.
correspondent, Andrew
Yeah,
Cuomo,
yeah,
Yeah.
with the
yeah. He
11
was
girls charge. Yeah, he's known
yeah,
to be a
no,
bit
no,
of a
but
player.
also before. Oh yeah, that came out later. I'm not talking about that
Yeah.
part. I'm like when the pandemic started. Before that, he was in like a cool, comfortable, kosher job, and then suddenly he was in the press, in the news all the time,
Mm.
because this COVID thing happened, and then because so many eyeballs on him because of that, then I think other things
So
also
what do
started
you
coming
do?
out.
Do you
So I
go
think it
with
was
for them to go with the populist view is also very important because I mean it's about the next election. End of the day,
Yeah.
also. I'm not saying that they're that evil and they don't consider humanitarian view and all that because sometimes like Texas and the big states where Amit is have just flagrantly just done their own thing, haven't they? I have a
Pretty
pal, a
much.
neighbor who's from Miami, and he was telling me that Miami doesn't care too much about COVID.
Yeah. No. So, but apparently, it's now become a big problem over there, and so the
It
government has
has the
taken some
Delta
strict.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
listen, I mean, like different states have different things over here, and different parts of the country are different, I guess. But again, vaccination is the solution. That's everybody should be
Uh,
vaccinated.
t-
I
it-
mean, even if it's
to
not the
that point,
solution,
though.
it's the
Okay.
best option we have. Because I think solution is a tough word. There is no real solution at the
Well,
moment. There's no
you get
100% guarantee. People should understand that.
that. I think you're right. No, everybody should understand that nothing is 100% here, right?
We
This
want a
is just
happy
a question.
ending without
Yeah,
going to Bangkok. It doesn't work like that.
true,
Yeah,
true.
but to that point about the vaccine, what is because people are getting vaccinated, but this Delta variant has now come out, right?
Mhm.
So especially in the US, I just read this today only. Especially in the US and in some other countries also, there the Delta variant has brought a lot of anger towards people who are not vaccinated. So
Yep.
to the point where people are like hurling abuses at them and like calling them like really nasty things just because they're not vaccinated.
Yeah, with
So
good
that could
cause.
they're saying, but they're saying like in like a month or two that could become a very serious problem
See, but this
where
Yeah,
not
you could see
vaccinating,
riots
not being
happening
on
and all.
board. I know that democracy and all that, so we have to understand that you have your right to in a real fair democracy, but it defeats the purpose. If people
you're
don't get the vaccine done,
yeah, you're
there's no
screwing
point us getting
everybody
the
else
vaccine
up.
done. Yeah.
You're screwing
So that
everybody
is
else
like
up.
paying tax. I can understand that being really pushed
Yeah.
at the end of the day because there's something which we have to do as a collective. There's no way out.
And
On
also,
the other hand,
Antariksh,
shutting the yeah, go on.
sorry, the most
Yeah.
frustrating thing is when when you're free for a while and then you get stuck again. That is the
That's
Yeah.
most
true.
frustrating thing, right? That's when I got
Mm.
maximum frustration, right? When we were more or less opening up January, February, March, and then April we had to shut again. Right,
Mm.
that's when I got like the most frustration occurred, and that's what people are feeling
I
in the US to a degree, right? That I mean, like, hey, we were out of this, we were all out and about in the world, and now all of a sudden, because these idiots are deciding not to get vaccinated for no real reason, right? Now we're back stuck again.
Yeah.
I can slightly endorse that because that's the second most frustrating moment in my life. The first was when I finally got lobster tube, and then it started, and then the buffering started, and I couldn't see anything. So
Oh
this would be
man,
number
yeah,
two
that's the
after that.
worst.
Very
I get it.
close, but I would put lobster
Yeah.
tube first.
Fair point.
Big fan, bro. I'm a big fan. Some of the greatest cinema that of our generation. Nobody talks about that. It's always COVID, COVID, COVID. Oh damn, guys, can we go off me for dinner, Amit for breakfast? I think
Yeah,
All
I
right,
have to actually. I'm
sure.
going to go see Mark Cuban give a speech right now.
Oh wow, what is he
really
talking about?
Yeah,
like in a private setting.
yeah, he is the keynote speaker today in 20 minutes, so I need to rush to the hall.
What's your
What is he talking
pitch?
about? If I can ask.
He's talking about podcasting and who is going to own content and what is the future of the content ecosystem.
All right.
Ask him if he wants to come on. Cyrus says, I may have the time next week, or
Yeah,
maybe I'll even take the
I
date.
don't think that I'm getting
Convince.
FaceTime with Mark Cuban. I'm just going to go watch him.
Anyway, speak to him in Russian. Huh? He's of
I
Russian
will try.
descent and his real name is in Cuban. Yeah,
Okay,
Znаю Paruski. I speak to him.
okay.
That's
I'll let
about
him know.
all I remember.
I'll let him know
All
you
right.
say what's up.
Yeah. Yes, I don't have that. I don't have that in
Yeah.
Russian. I'll get back to him.
But do you
All
have a
right.
business pitch that Amit can make for you also,
Yeah.
Cyrus?
I want
Yeah.
to I want to sell removable wig patches for people who are
Okay.
balding like myself but not fully bald. So we can just put like a small patch and leave the house. But we have different options so our look can change. But they
Uh,
have to be small patches. A lot of men have small balding issues.
That's
They don't
true.
become
Like
like
yeah.
big balding. Just patches all over. This is my great idea, and I'm working on a brand,
okay.
patent, all that. So if Cuban wants to get on board on the first floor, fine. If not, he can fuck off because I got 200 people calling me right now. Right now. You heard the name Bezos? It's his neighbor, son's friend who works in a catering college somewhere. Chalo, bye guys.
All
See
right.
you.
See you
Thank
all.
you.
Bye.
I don't know tomorrow who's coming on. Huh? Let's see.